Welcome to Living from the Heart. I am your host, Tina Thrussell, woman who dances with light. I'm the co-founder of Best You Can Be and messenger of the Shin Dao, the way of the heart. Shin means heart, Dao is the way, and the way of the heart is the way of living with love, kindness, and compassion for yourself first. For when you love yourself and are kind and compassionate with yourself, then you truly have that to flow out into the world. And today I am delighted to have a guest who definitely flows that love, kindness, and compassion out into the world. I met Frances Fayden through a mutual friend, and we met online. And it was very interesting. Within minutes of talking to her, I found myself sort of just spilling my guts about what my purpose was and how I felt off or on purpose. And it was just interesting the way it all just flowed out of me. And there was just something about her warm, open energy that said, yeah, go ahead, share with me. I'm here for you. And I know that Frances does her work as a healer, a channeler, a coach, a writer, and she is what we might call a mystic of no faith, no particular religion. She believes, as I do, that all paths lead to the one source, and all paths are paved with love. And I will invite Frances on in just a moment. But before I do, I would like to invite you to subscribe to Heart and Mind Matters. Every other Tuesday morning, we email an inspirational article, YouTube video, quote of the week. This is intended as an uplift in your week, and it's absolutely complimentary. You can receive that by entering your name and email address at bestyoucanbe.ca. That's BEST, the letter U, CAN, the letter B.ca. You can also subscribe at shindao.com, SHINDAO.com, where you can read more about the Shin Dao philosophy. Now, without further ado, I would like to bring to you Reverend Frances Fayden. Good morning, Reverend Frances.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
It's a delight to have you here. And I know when we were getting ready to come online on the show, there's that beautiful picture of Mother Mary right there behind you. And I said, gosh, when I look right at that, I'm looking right into the center of the camera. I see you and me, and it's like we're all encompassed in this beautiful, beautiful, brilliant love light energy.
Absolutely. This beautiful painting was painted by my wife, Deepa Lu, and it's always behind me, and it is sending energy out with all the calls that I do, all the videos that I do, and it's talk about living from the heart. That's Mother Mary's vibration for sure.
So it's interesting. I know when we first met and talked, you certainly said that Mother Mary was not exactly what would have been your choice of guides to move forward with, and yet here she is. So
I
talk about
know.
that a little.
Life is funny. So I was raised Catholic and wanted to be a priest. Actually, when I was 7, I was like, oh, this is really what I want to do. And for me, being a priest meant that I wanted to help people have an experience of the joy of the divine. That's what it meant to me. And I was quickly told, because of my gender, I couldn't do that. So I kind of quickly learned that religion and God were not the same thing at all. And I started studying all kinds of metaphysical things and mystical things because I really wanted to understand the truth. So I associated Mother Mary with a lot of dogma and Catholicism. And I had hurt spots from being raised Catholic. And I didn't really want to have anything to do with that. She was kind of portrayed as submissive and obedient and almost weaponized in a way for me. And I was like, no, thank you. But she had been tapping on my shoulder in various ways throughout my adult life. And I kept saying, no, thank you. Until I had a really profound experience with her in 2012. I was going through a dark night of the soul. And I was just praying and praying for help because I had lived in a spiritual community And towards the end of that, it was really not the best choice for me, and I needed to leave there. And I was kind of hanging on by a thread. I had almost lost my faith. I couldn't meditate anymore. I just was in a lot of pain, a lot of spiritual pain. So I prayed about it, and it was in July of 2012. And all of a sudden, because I'm an energy worker, I'm sensitive to energy, I could feel the energy in the room shift. And I was like, oh, there's somebody here with me. And in my mind's eye, I looked in my mind's eye and I could see her standing behind me. And I was like, oh, that's Mother Mary. I had wished it would have been any other being, like Saraswati, Kuan Yin, even an alien from another planet would have been better. Because I was like, oh no, how am I going to reconcile this? But, you know, she came and she asked to be part of my work. And she knew at that was the perfect moment, because I didn't have a lot of resistance left. I said, okay, I'll do whatever it takes. And so I've been sharing her messages with people ever since.
Wow. Wow. You know, that's a common theme I have with all of my speakers, is that sometimes there's this call and you can try and try and try to ignore it, push it away, but it keeps coming back. If it's
Yeah.
really what's divinely guided, it just keeps coming back. And then there's peace in our lives when we surrender to that.
Yeah. Surrender is the key word, and it's easier said than done. And I do find that my life flows from a place of surrender. And it's always this constant, when do I take action? When do I let go? How much action do I take? Do I need to let go? Like, so it's kind of this flow that happens for me of asking for guidance, acting on my guidance, letting go of the result, and then asking again, and then acting. Otherwise, if it's too much my energy, I end up over here. And if I just wait and don't take action, then nothing happens. So I think everybody has to find their own rhythm, their own spiritual rhythm of what works for you. But that definitely works for me.
It sounds like great advice. And I know that when I manage to do that, it works for me too. Very often I either A, forget to ask, or B, forget to actually listen, or C, don't actually act on what the guidance is that's given.
Yeah.
And it really takes all three of those things.
It really does. And thank God for the law of grace in our lives, which is when we forget to ask, or we forget to listen, or we don't take action, there's always that safety net of grace, of what I call Divine Mother. Mother Mary to me is the Divine Mother that kind of scoops us up and says, all right, start again. It's okay. Try it again, until we get it.
Yeah. How beautiful, right? To think that it's not a lost chance. It's not, oh,
No.
shoot, I blew it. Always.
Never.
The support is always there.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious, how is it that you said Mother Mary is there in all of your work? So what does your work look like from that perspective?
Well, my work has been an evolution. It's definitely been evolving. And I started my work doing intuitive healing work and focusing more on physical healing for people. And that quickly evolved into understanding the emotional component of what was going on with people. Because in your energy field, unresolved emotions are often what is a big contributing factor to physical illness. So from that process of learning to dialogue with the energy body, with the chakra system, I started to recognize that all of who we are is really in our energy field. And then I was really more interested in helping people with their purpose and why we're here. Just like for me in that dark night of the soul of like really praying for that connection. I love helping people develop their own divine connection. I call it feeling the divine presence, because I'm an interfaith minister. So I'm not going to tell you to call God Mother Mary or even God. It's like whatever works for you. It's totally fine with me. And we all are wired in our own way to feel that divine presence. So I help people who are searching for that. And through searching for that, very quickly comes in fulfilling your purpose, why you're here on the planet, which isn't necessarily about your career. It can be, but it's really what your soul is working towards. So I do that through coaching. I do it through individual sessions. I do it through an online membership that I have. My work is called Magnify Your Miracles, because since Mother Mary is the great magnifier of light, everything that I do with her becomes exponentially stronger for my client.
Magnify your miracles. How beautiful. And miracles happen every day, right?
Yeah. They're supposed to be normal. They're not supposed to be the extra thing that happens only now and then. Like, miracles are our natural birthright. They're the way of being. Every time you have a shift in perception and you start to see something as possible that you didn't see just a moment ago, to me, that's a miracle.
Yeah, that's true, right? And then when you think of it that way, yeah, there are lots of miracles happening all the time.
All the time.
Those little
And
aha moments.
one of the things I always say is that the first step to magnify your miracles is to recognize that your miracle is already here. I believe that everything is already here. We just have to grow our awareness to be able to encompass so that we can see it, whatever it is. So it's just like a dog whistle. A dog can hear that, but we can't because our ears aren't quite there yet. It's the same thing with our inner senses. The divine is right here. Your solution for whatever you need is right here. And so I don't pray for things anymore. I pray for the awareness. I pray for the awareness to see the solution because I know that it's already here. Not that it's bad to pray for things, but I've come to know that all the things are here, whatever it might be. And I just need to like let go of whatever it is and see that answer that's already here.
Wow, I love that. 'Cause so many people pray for things. Oh,
Yeah.
I need help with this thing, that thing. I'd love to see this in my life.
Yeah.
Wow, what a different perspective. How much more empowering it is
Yeah.
to think that you can just pray for the awareness of what already is.
And it's okay, to pray for things. One of my favorite prayers, because I'm a recovering perfectionist, one of my favorite prayers when I forget to ask, forget to listen, forget to act, like we were talking about, is Mother Mary, make it okay. Just make it okay. And that's my surrender prayer, is just make it okay. And it's me trusting that what I did, what I didn't do, it's fine. And God has the ability to work it all out. I don't have to work it out. But there's nothing wrong with praying for things. I've just learned that when it's that saying of like, in all that I get understanding, it's like if you can get the thing that's behind all of the material things, that's the best. And I really think that that's our level of awareness.
That's really profound. I love that.
Yeah. It's a interesting way to live.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. Some might say this is at odds with the people who are out there going, you got to make it happen. You got to, push, 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 set your goals, overachieve, strive, 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 keep taking action, keep taking action. And I don't think that that's wrong. And it's almost like there's some balance somehow, right? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think that we live in a very patriarchal culture. I call it hyper-masculine. Nothing wrong with the masculine. We need that energy. But too much of it, just like too much of anything, throws us out of balance. Now, it all depends upon where you are and your level of development. So if you're coming from a place of never taking action, then taking a lot of action is going to be your next step in your own spiritual evolution. But if you've taken lots and lots of action and your lesson really is about trust and surrender and allowing and receiving, then that advice isn't going to work that well for you. This is where you have to go within. This is why I never do cookie cutter coaching with people, because it really depends upon you and how are you wired. I'm always going back and forth between those two things of listening, and allowing myself to receive. To me, it's the more feminine way. Now, some people think that means do nothing, and it doesn't mean that. It's really, you have to have a really, really deep rooted faith to live on that level where you trust that all your needs are going to be taken care of, and you're doing it from faith and not from kind of a childlike way of like wanting to be taken care of in an unhealthy way. I really think that we have to balance that masculine and feminine, but it starts with the feminine. And that's where we're off in the culture is we tend to do. And then if we remember, we'll listen. I think we have to start with listening, and it starts with your show. It starts with listening to the heart, which is where Divine Mother lives. Listen to the heart, and then your masculine energy is in service to your feminine energy. And that's where there's harmony and balance. When they're without each other, not much happens on either level. So listen, be receptive, and then let your masculine energy be of service and take action on your inspiration.
Wow.
Does it make sense?
It makes total sense. It sounds so much easier.
Yeah. Well, it's hard because we're in a culture that doesn't value the feminine really at all. And in many ways, it's denigrated. So it wasn't until I went to India, in 2006, where the religion is so part of the culture that I started to see this other way of being. And it's not that their way is better. It just showed me the way that we live is just the way that we live. And the way that they live is the way that they live. And neither one is right or wrong, but they're a bunch of beliefs and mindsets. And we're swimming in that fish tank the whole time. And we think it's just the way that it always is, but it's not. And we're seeing this now with stuff that's going on in the world. Things that we didn't think were possible suddenly are possible. We didn't think we could make these changes, and yet we're making these changes. So I think it's really good to recognize that we grow up in a culture that orients us one way, and it's not necessarily the only way.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I know going to India really had a huge impact on my life as well. And I think we went around the same time. My goodness.
2006?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting. And subsequent trips there, I just felt so at home there. And this felt like a way of living that felt more natural to me. And I think I have felt in some ways more in sync since coming back, and in some ways more out of sync because as you say, the way North American life is so different from that way of life. And to try to find a way to blend the two, to blend that feminine and masculine, as you're saying, is can be a challenge because of the continuous bombardment of external influences.
Yeah, I think that's what we're up for, though. I think that's why we're here as souls, you and I, and those of us who are tuning in. I think this is why we're here, is to blend that east-west, masculine, feminine.
To bring us, there are these pendulum swings. Things happen on this end and this end, and they whoo, whoo, whoo. But if we can come a little bit more to the center where we're blending, I think that will be a place of greater ease, greater grace, peace.
Yeah, Paramhansa Yogananda, who I'm a disciple of Paramhansa Yogananda, he wrote the autobiography of a yogi, and he's the first master not to come to the United States, but to live in the United States, to be able to stay, because it was so weird for them. They weren't able to stay, and to really come to the West. And he said that the spirituality of India, not the religion of India, the spirituality of India and the efficiency of the West needed to come together. And you can see this blending is really happening. I think there are so many souls who were born in India who have been born here in the West. And there's so many souls who are from the West that are now born in India. So India is becoming efficient and tech savvy and all that stuff because there's all those Western souls being born there. And there's so many of us here, at least here in the United States, that we're like doing our pujas and saying our mantras and, and like here we are walking around in, American bodies, and on the inside, our soul feels very much aligned with that deep, deep spirituality. So I think it's happening, I think it's happening already.
Nice. It's nice to think that we're in that place of finally getting to where we want to be.
Yeah. I loved being in India. I totally understand what you're saying. Like on an ego level, it's really uncomfortable to be in India. But on a soul level, oh my God, it feels normal. It's the only place in the world that I've ever gone where I felt finally normal. Like this is how life is supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that wholeheartedly. Yeah. Mm. Mm. Just a little transporting back to those
Just
moments.
thinking about it. Mm.
So how do we bring that feeling here into this everyday life?
Yeah. Well, I think that's what tuning into the divine presence is really about, how to feel connected to that divine presence every day. And that's a big piece of what I help people with. So I do it through guided meditations, helping people. So when I do a guided meditation, I do it in such a way that you will feel that Mother Mary's in the room with you, in that
Mm,
presence with you. But we have to make some choices for ourselves. So when I first came back from India, I was still in that energy of like, oh, so high vibration. And you come here to America and you recognize that, like, I don't have to go to the well to get my water, all my electricity works. And there's really no excuse not to be self realized because we have so many things taken care of. But we fall into the energy of comfort, which is not a bad thing. We fall into our habits. So I think being very intentional, not in a strict way, but from the heart. Like, God, I want to know you more. I want to have more of that divine presence in my life. If you don't have an altar in your home, a little sacred space, start with creating a little sacred space and put a little picture there of divine mother or a flower or however you relate to the divine, and a candle, and whatever creates that sense of sacred feeling for you. And then you just collect your favorite prayers, and maybe you read your favorite prayers or you listen to sacred music, but you make it like a divine appointment, just like we're having our divine appointment today. And you say, okay, I'm going to be there 7 o'clock tonight for 20 minutes. I'm going to spend time with the divine. And you'll start to build up energy. And then every time you go to sit in that space, you're kind of walking into a vortex of energy that will begin to bless you. So those are some simple things that you can do. And then, of course, throughout the day, you can say prayers. You can put a reminder on your phone. There's, little things that you can do throughout the day. But it really starts with what you say. It starts with the heart and saying, please, come and be with me here. Let me feel your presence.
mm, yes, yes, I thank you for bringing up those things. It makes me think about the fact that for me, the lotus flower, again, having been in India, the lotus
Yeah.
flower has a lot of significance, and I have a little candle holder that someone gave me that's an actual little lotus flower,
Oh, yeah.
and it's in the niche by our front door. And I thought, oh, I should move that to my altar. And then I thought, no, what you want to do is every time you see that lotus flower there, that is that reminder to be in that moment of presence with what I refer to as Soa, source of all, to
I
be there
love
with
that.
Soa, right? Then I don't have, yeah, because there's just so many religious connotations around the name God that for a lot of people, it's a big hurdle to get over. The minute they hear the word God, there's a sort of a shutting down that
Yeah.
happens. And that went on for me for a lot of years.
Yeah.
Thank goodness it's not there now. But for other people's ease, I use that term Soa, source of all, Soa.
I love it.
Um, and if I think about how I have little things spread all throughout my home,
Yep.
why not consciously use them as those triggers to take those few moments?
Yeah, they do that practice with mindfulness. It's like with the bell. Whenever you hear a bell, it acts as a reminder. You can do that with images. You can do it with whatever you want. We have opportunities every day to tune in. And
Yeah.
whenever I see a butterfly, I go out for a walk and I see a butterfly. I'm like, oh, hello, Divine Mother. And you can just have that beautiful ongoing conversation throughout your day. It's very, very sweet.
Sweet. Yes, it sounds sweet. That's a nice word. Describes it very, very well. Mm. I'm so lost in this beautiful energy. Seeing
Sweet.
this painting behind you, honest
Yeah.
to goodness, your wife did an amazing job. It's like Mother Mary is just jumping off that canvas and she's right there.
Yeah.
And it's almost the word I want to use is distracting, and of course that's not
No,
the
I know
word at
what you
all.
mean. It's more of like it's drawing you in. I understand it.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating story because my wife only started painting a few years ago. Well, the remarkable thing is within a short amount of time. She never used to be able to see anything from her mind's eye at all. She started painting these beautiful paintings. Within 6 or 7 months, she was painting these gorgeous paintings. And she just had the idea like, I wonder if I can infuse the painting with divine energy so that when people tune into the painting, they can feel that presence. So she calls them portals, which they actually are. And so what you're experiencing is actually validating what she's trying to do, which is help to draw you in and have that divine presence experience through the portal.
Wow. Wow.
And that's an example of what can you do in your home. If you want to create sacred space, you can get one of these portals and you can commune with it and you start to feel the presence in that painting, or you can do it with a statue or whatever else you have. But it's a really powerful way to bring the divine presence into your home.
Beautiful, beautiful. So if somebody were want to do that,
Mm-hmm.
would they be in contact with you? And I'm going to do this now. I'm going to put your
Sure.
website on the screen.
Great. Well, if you wanted to contact my wife, Deepa, it's deepaliu.com, DEEPALIU.com. And she is a sacred artist, and her beautiful portals are available. You can get museum quality copies. They're called G Clays, and they're beautiful. And she has them in different sizes and a lot of them are of Mother Mary, but she has Yogananda and some other ones as well. If you'd like to stay in touch with me, you could definitely go to my website, francesfayden.com. And I have some MP3s on there that you can have for free about different topics for highly sensitive people, because I tend to work with highly sensitive people. And actually, this coming Friday, I'm going to be doing a free intuitive message circle and virtual birthday party, because it was just my birthday. So if you go to francesfayden.com/message party, you can come for free, and that would be fun. Thank you.
Neat. Message party. Oh, so what time is that going to be?
That's going to be 12 noon Pacific time. No, 12 noon Eastern time, 9 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Mountain.
Okay, good
Yeah.
stuff.
So
That
I'm going to
sounds
do I'm going to give messages to as many people as I possibly can on the call, live on the call. I call it Message Palooza.
neat. Oh, that sounds really fun. That sounds really fun. I think we want to be part of that.
Yeah.
So I should be checking the time. Okay, so we got a few minutes left.
Beautiful.
Is there any particular message that you would like to share with our viewers, our listeners?
Let me just tune in for a minute and see if there's anything that wants to come through for your listeners. Okay, so what I'm hearing is the importance of really tending to our hearts right now. We talk about living from the heart and really tending to it, because people's hearts are a little heavy right now. There's a lot of grief that's come up for people, and just as kind of this feeling of disconnect, I guess I can say. This is a beautiful time and a beautiful opportunity to actually return to your own heart and find out what is it longing for. I love that word. I don't like to think about what is it that you want. What is it that you're longing for? When you think about what you're longing for, it connects you immediately into your soul. So journal about that and ask that question. What is it that I'm longing for? And then do the best you can to bring some of that energy into your life today.
That's beautiful. You know, that's our tagline. Stop longing, start living.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah. The longing really comes from deep within, but if you don't act on it, like we said, then you're not going to be living it. So absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's a beautiful message. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I'm sure I didn't invite anyone who's watching to comment, say hello if you wanted to. So feel free. Anybody who might be out there, if you want to say hello or have a last minute question, comment, by all means, post that. You can contact Frances through her website. You can acquire one of Deepalu's beautiful, beautiful portals slash paintings at this site, deepalu.com.
Oh, also, there's my podcast, the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. I forgot about that.
Oh,
That's on the website too.
Yeah, the podcast here on the Frances Fayden.
Mm-hmm.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. Well, this show today is going to be converted to a podcast, which will be on the podcast.bestyoucanbe site, and that will be linked to Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, quite a number of audio podcast stations. So we'll make sure you get a copy of that so
Yay.
that you can upload that as well on your podcast page.
Yay.
And the more people who get to hear these messages, the better the impact, the more positive, and the sooner we come to that place of center that we were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing your beautiful soul, the energy that you bring, the energy of Mother Mary that you bring with you. And we're deeply grateful to you for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Such a great honor to be here.
Thank you. So, to all of our listeners and viewers, tune in next Wednesday, 9 a.m. Mountain, when we have another wonderful guest talking about living from the heart. Until then, I'm going to just place a little information up here on screen for everyone. And Reverend Frances and I say ciao.
Bye-bye.